So the movie kicks off with Jake Sully, our main guy, giving us a little tour of his life on Pandora. Things are actually peaceful for a change. He's now the chief of the Omaticaya clan, living in harmony with nature and most importantly with his family. Jake and Neytiri, his wife, have 5 kids, 2 biological sons, Nediam and Loak, a little daughter named Tuck, an adopted daughter Kiri, and a human boy named Spider. Now here's where it gets interesting. Kiri is actually the daughter of Grace. Remember her from the first movie? Yeah, the scientist who died helping the Na'vi. And Spider, he's human, and things are a bit more complicated with him. He was left behind on Pandora when the humans were sent back to Earth after losing the war. Turns out, he's the son of none other than Colonel Miles Quaritch, the same villain who almost destroyed the Na'vi. That explains why Neytiri isn't too fond of him. But Kiri, she's super close to Spider. They have a strong bond. And Spider, well, he's grown up among the Na'vi, so he basically feels like one of them. Everything seems calm until bam! One night, Jake and Neytiri spot something disturbing in the sky. Spaceships. Bright, blazing ships descend, and chaos follows. The humans are back, and this time, they're not playing around. The Omatikaya's peaceful home is torched, animals die, and soldiers equipped with heavy robotic gear sweep through the forest, leaving destruction in their wake. Jake and Neytiri watch in horror as they realize it's the RDA again, those same human invaders, coming to colonize Pandora all over again and build a new operations base. Then we jump to a human lab. Here's the twist. The RDA has created a Na'vi avatar clone of Colonel Quaritch, complete with all his memories from before he died. So yes, he remembers everything, except who killed him and how. And guess what? He's not alone. The RDA has brought back several other dead soldiers the same way, and they're all hell-bent on revenge, especially against Jake. Meanwhile, Jake starts organizing resistance. He leads the Na'vi to launch a surprise attack on one of the RDA's supply trains. It's a big success. They steal ammo and food. But during this mission, his son Loak disobeys orders and gets hurt. Jake's not happy and gives him a stern lesson about responsibility and discipline. Back on the human side, Colonel Quaritch meets with General Ardmore, who explains the challenge the RDA is facing. The Na'vi's flying creatures, Scounds, are wrecking their choppers. So, Quaritch plans to go back into the forest where they once fought the Na'vi, hoping to gather intel and strategize. But as fate would have it, Jake's kids are playing in that same forest. While exploring, Quaritch stumbles upon his old robotic exosuit. His previous bodies remain still inside. It's a chilling moment. Loak sees all this and immediately contacts Jake using his voice transmitter. Jake hears the warning and tells him to stay calm and get out of there, fast. So after the chaos begins, Jake and Neytiri rush toward the forest, hoping their kids are safe. But things take a turn for the worse. Loak and his siblings get captured by the humans. The worst part? When the colonel sees their hands, he immediately realizes these are Jake's kids, his arch-enemy's children. Just then, Jake and Neytiri arrive like warriors and attack the soldiers. In the middle of all the action, they manage to rescue most of their children, except Spider. Sadly, the humans take him away. Later on, something shocking happens. The colonel finds out that Spider is actually his own son. Yep, things just got really complicated. Back in their home at Omaticaya, Jake has a serious talk with Neytiri. He thinks they need to leave. He's worried that Spider, now with the humans, might accidentally give away their location. Plus, he knows the humans are mainly after him. He killed Colonel Quaritch, after all. Neytiri doesn't want to abandon their beautiful home, but deep down, she knows Jake's right. So, with a heavy heart, she agrees to leave everything behind. Meanwhile, Spider's going through a rough time. General Ardmore tortures him, trying to force him to spill secrets. But Spider doesn't give in. He stays loyal to his Na'vi family. Interestingly, the colonel can't watch his own son suffer like that, so he stops the torture. He tells the general he'll deal with Spider himself. Later, the colonel sits with Spider and tries a gentler approach. He says he's not a bad guy and even tells Spider he wants to take him back to Earth. This actually gets to Spider. He starts to warm up and finally agrees to share some information. Then we cut to Jake and his family. They're leaving their homeland behind and flying off in their ekrans, those cool flying creatures. After traveling for days, they reach Metkayina, a beautiful region by the sea. The Na'vi there are different. They're lighter-skinned and live in harmony with the water. But when Jake and his family arrive, the Metkayina people aren't exactly welcoming. They mock their looks and doubt they can survive in a water-based world. The clan leader, Tonawari, is especially skeptical, but Jake pleads with him. He says they'll adapt and explains they're being hunted by humans. After hearing this, Tonawari agrees to let them stay. He even tells his own children to teach Jake's kids how to live and move in the water, including how to use their sea creatures. So now, a whole new chapter begins as Jake's family tries to blend into this new world. As the Sully kids try to adjust to their new life with the oceanic Metkayina clan, Tonowari's children step up to show their new friends the ropes, how to swim, how to breathe underwater longer, and just basically how to live in the water. It's a totally different world for the Sully kids, and they're trying their best to fit in. Now, of course, Loak, being the adventurous and slightly mischievous one, immediately tries to bond with the sea creature. But yeah, things don't go exactly as planned. He loses control and takes a dramatic fall into the water. Naturally, Tonowari's kids burst out laughing at him, classic teen behavior. Meanwhile, Kiri, Jake's adopted daughter, is having a completely different experience. While the others are struggling to keep up, she's out there thriving. She dives deep into the ocean, and surprisingly, she's not just comfortable, she seems to belong there. Even more shocking, she can actually control some of the sea creatures. It's kind of magical, but things aren't all sunshine and coral reefs. The next day, while Kiri is peacefully meditating underwater, Aonung, Tonowari's son, and his crew come around and start teasing her, calling her a freak. Not cool at all. Loak sees this and immediately stands up for his sister. He punches Aonung right in the face. Jake, of course, isn't happy when he hears about the fight. He tells Loak to apologize, especially since Aonung is the clan leader's son. Loak isn't thrilled, but he does it. Aonung accepts the apology on the surface, but he's still pretty salty underneath. So Aonung decides to get a little revenge. He invites Loak out for a swim, pretending it's just for fun, but actually takes him to a super dangerous area in the sea where predators roam. Loak, having no idea what's coming, is just fishing when suddenly, bam! A massive predator rushes toward him. He's terrified, all alone, and just when it seems like he's done for, enter Payakan. This gigantic whale-like creature swoops in and saves Loak in the most epic way by smashing the predator with its massive head. We find out that this incredible being is a tulkun, part of a species that's highly intelligent, peaceful, and deeply spiritual to the Metkayina people. And guess what? Payakan isn't just any tulkun, he's the biggest and strongest of them all. After the dramatic rescue, Loak notices that Payakan is hurt. He's got harpoons stuck in his body. Without hesitation, Loak helps pull them out. That moment seals their bond. It's the start of a beautiful friendship between boy and beast. Later, when Loak gets back to land, Tonowari finds out what happened and surprisingly tells Aonung to apologize this time. But Loak, showing some real character growth, covers for him. He lies and says Aonung wasn't responsible. This act of kindness really hits Aonung, and he finally starts to see that maybe the Sully family isn't so bad after all. So after everything that happened, Loak finally gets back to his brother and their friends. And guess what? He excitedly tells them how Payakan, the tulkun, literally saved his life. But instead of being amazed, they all look at him like he's gone crazy. Turns out Payakan has a dark past. They say he's a killer, and that's why the other tulkuns have shunned him. Loak is stunned. I mean, how could his life-saving buddy be a murderer? Meanwhile, things are heating up on the other side. Spider is still with Colonel Quaritch and is now showing him around the Na'vi world like a tour guide. He even takes him to the iconic floating Hallelujah Mountains to help the Colonel choose a scown, a flying creature like the ones the Na'vi use. At first, the Colonel struggles, as expected, but he eventually gets the hang of it and starts flying around like a pro. Then he gets a tip-off. Jake might be hiding near the Metkayina Reef. That's all he needs to hear. He marches his army straight to the reef. When they confront some of the Water Tribe Na'vi and ask if they know Jake, the villagers deny it. But instead of moving on, the Colonel goes full villain, kills one of them, and burns their homes. Even then, the villagers don't say a word. With no leads, the Colonel switches to Plan B, mass kill the Tulkuns. His thinking? Jake loves these creatures. Maybe seeing them slaughtered will force him out of hiding. Oh, and let's not forget the cherry on top. Their brains have a fluid that sells for millions on Earth because it can extend human life. Yeah, this guy is pure evil. Soon enough, hunters start targeting the Tulkuns. They shoot trackers into them and knock them unconscious. One scene, in particular, is just heartbreaking. A mother Tulkun is brutally killed while her baby watches helplessly. The hunters then leave, but the trackers are still embedded in the creatures. When the Metkayina learn about this massacre, they are furious. They want to go to war immediately. But Jake steps in and says, "Hold on, we need to warn the Tulkuns about these trackers first. Without that, they could be targeted again." Loak doesn't waste a second. He races off to find Payakan and warn him. Aonung and some other local boys tag along. When they reach Payakan, they begin working on removing the tracker. But right then, the colonel and his crew show up with their massive whale ship. Loak quickly links up with his father through his communicator and gives him the heads up. Just in time, they manage to pull the tracker out of Payakan and then hide underwater while the enemy starts searching. Back at the village, Jake rushes to Tanawari, the Metkayina chief, and tells him their kids are missing. Tanawari is alarmed and immediately preps his warriors for battle. Jake and Neytiri grab their weapons too. It's go time. Meanwhile, the colonel orders his crew to capture the Tulkuns and find Jake's kids. Eventually, they catch Kiri and Tuck and trap them in a net. Loak tries to rescue them, but ends up getting pulled onto the whale ship himself. The colonel handcuffs the kids to the ship's railing and uses Loak's collar transmitter to send Jake a chilling message: surrender, or your kids die. Jake is out of options. He agrees to the surrender. But Payakan isn't just going to sit back and watch. Seeing Loak chained up, he makes a dramatic move, launches himself onto the deck of the ship, thrashing around with his massive fins. He sends soldiers flying and creates total chaos. This is the moment Jake and the Metkayina warriors were waiting for. They charge into battle. It's not just about rescuing the kids now, it's personal. It's about revenge. And while all this is happening, Spider smashes the whale ship's control system, causing it to crash into the surrounding rocks. Water starts pouring in, and the battle gets even more intense. So, after all the chaos, Jake and his eldest son, Netium, rush to the deck to free Loak, Tuck, and Kiri. They want the kids to go to safety, but Loak's not having it. Instead, he's determined to rescue his adopted brother, Spider. Netium joins him, and after searching through the ship, they find Spider. But as they're about to make their escape, the evil colonel notices them and opens fire. Unfortunately, Netium gets hit and is badly wounded. Loak and Spider rush him to the shore, but despite their efforts, Netium dies from blood loss. The moment is heartbreaking. Neytiri, Jake's wife, watches in horror as her son dies right in front of her, and she's utterly devastated, crying and screaming in anguish. Meanwhile, the colonel manages to capture Kiri and Tuck using his scown, and he contacts Jake, revealing that both his daughters are now in his custody. Hearing this, Jake somehow manages to calm Neytiri down, and she agrees to help him rescue their daughters. Filled with rage, Neytiri calls her scown, grabs her bow, and flies towards the ship, ready to fight. Jake then approaches the ship and causes a massive explosion, taking out the colonel's men. Neytiri isn't far behind, and she starts picking off the remaining soldiers with deadly precision. Jake eventually finds his youngest daughter, Tuck, and frees her. But then, of course, the colonel shows up, holding Kiri at knife point. He threatens to kill her unless Jake drops his weapons, and Jake, although reluctantly, complies. Meanwhile, a furious Neytiri captures Spider and threatens to kill him. The colonel tries to deny any connection to Spider, but when Neytiri cuts the boy's chest, the colonel can't help but release Kiri, realizing the gravity of the situation. With their daughters safe, Jake and Neytiri get ready to leave, but the colonel makes one last threat, promising to hunt Jake down again. Jake realizes that for his family to have any peace, he has to eliminate the colonel once and for all. So, he returns to the battlefield for one final showdown. This time, it's an old-fashioned fist fight between the two bitter enemies, and it's brutal. Neither of them gives an inch. But in the end, Jake manages to overpower the colonel, wrapping his arms around his neck and knocking him out. Believing he's won, Jake lets the colonel drown in the water. However, Jake starts to sink too, struggling to breathe. Just as he's about to go under, Loak arrives, saving his father and bringing him back to the surface. The family is eventually rescued by Payakan, the giant sea creature, who carries them all to safety on the shore. But in a twist, Spider, who had just saved his biological father from drowning, decides to reject the colonel's offer to leave with him. Instead, he returns to the family that raised him. In the movie's final moments, Jake and his family, along with the Metkayina tribe, gather to bury Netium's body at the bottom of the ocean. The glowing bioluminescent tubes envelop his body, almost as if the ocean is embracing him. As Jake stands there reflecting on all the memories of his son, he comes to a bittersweet realization. Netium is now with the gods, living in heaven. And that's how Avatar, The Way of Water wraps up an emotional journey of loss, survival, and family. What a ride!